you ever heard of a family who set an extra plate for someone who doesn't exist? Or maybe they do. Welcome to Morrigan Dread Horror, where real terror lurks in every shadow. I'm Morrigan Dread, and tonight I'm pulling you into a chilling true story from an old house in Hollow Creek, where a family faced a psychological horror like no other. This isn't just a haunted house story. It's a terrifying tale of an imaginary friend that refused to stay imaginary. Tonight, you'll witness what happens when the fourth plate at dinner wasn't empty. Watch, if you dare. If you love spine-tingling narratives like those from MrBallen or Mr. Nightmare, hit that subscribe button now and smash the bell to join our horror family. We drop new terrors weekly, and this one's got twists that'll keep you awake. Drop a like if you dare, and comment. Have you seen an extra face? Your story might be our next nightmare. Morning light crawled through the half-closed kitchen curtains, casting pale stripes across the cracked tiles. Sophia Watson stirred her coffee slowly, her gaze unfocused as her 3 children argued over toast and jam. "Theo, let your sister have it," she muttered, not lifting her eyes. Her voice had the weight of someone who hadn't slept, not truly, in weeks. Lena, the youngest, sat at the end of the table, humming. She wasn't interested in breakfast. She stared into the mirror that hung on the wall beside the pantry, an old oval thing they'd inherited with the house. Sophia never liked it. It was too tall, too narrow, and too old to belong in such a modern kitchen. "She says the jam is too red," Lena said cheerfully. Sophia blinked. "Who says that, honey?" "Clara. She lives behind the mirror." Sophia's stomach dropped a little, just a flicker, and then returned to the usual numbness. "An imaginary friend." Lena smiled, but her eyes didn't match. "Not imaginary. She's real. You just don't see her yet." Sophia forced a smile and returned to her coffee. All kids had imaginary friends. Her middle child, Julia, had one named Captain Pineapple when she was 4, but something about Lena's tone unsettled her. It wasn't playful. Later that day, as Sophia cleaned the hallway, she caught a glint in the corner of her eye, a reflection. She turned. The mirror. It was facing away from the light, but for a second, she thought she saw 4 children playing behind her. But only 3 lived in the house. She walked up to the mirror. Nothing. Just her and the furniture behind her. That night, after the kids were asleep, Sophia lingered in the hallway. She approached the mirror again, slowly, feeling ridiculous. "Clara," she whispered, half in jest. "Are you there?" The house creaked. The lights flickered. Then, faintly, so faintly she could have imagined it, a child's giggle behind her. She turned around. Nothing. But when she looked back at the mirror, a second reflection of her stood slightly behind the first. Watching, Sophia started finding drawings, not the usual crayon rainbows or shaky stick figures. These were detailed, frighteningly so. Each one depicted 4 children. At first, she assumed Theo or Julia were helping Lena, but they denied it. Lena always claimed the same thing. "Clara helped me." One morning, Sophia found a new drawing taped to the fridge. It showed her 3 children at the dinner table, smiling, and a 4th child sitting at the end. The 4th had no face, only a wide, scribbled mouth and dark pits where eyes should be. Above her, written in crooked letters, "Clara. She eats with us now." Sophia tore the picture down, heart pounding. She didn't want to show fear, but the image wouldn't leave her mind. That smile, those holes. Later that day, while sorting laundry, She discovered one of Julia's sweaters folded neatly in Lena's drawer. It was small now, too tight for any of them. But when she lifted it, something fell from the folds. A photo. It was one of their family pictures from 2 months ago, before Lena began talking about Clara. But there, on the far right side of the image, partially obscured by the curtain, stood a shadow. Child-sized, pale skin, a hand pressed against the glass of the living room window. Sophia stared, breath caught in her throat. She never remembered anyone standing there, certainly not a fourth child. That evening, Sophia confronted Lena gently. "Sweetheart, this Clara, where did she come from?" "She came from the mirror," Lena said without hesitation. "She was lonely." "Is she still behind the mirror?" Lena shook her head. "She lives here now. She sleeps in my bed when I pretend to be asleep." Sophia tried to keep calm, to reassure herself it was just make-believe. But that night, when she passed by the hallway mirror, there were 4 small handprints smudged into the glass. The 4th was higher than Lena could reach. The dreams had started. Sophia would wake drenched in sweat, the echo of a lullaby fading from her ears. Always the same song, soft and slow, sung by a child's voice. Sometimes she could still hear it for a few seconds after waking. The melody clung to her like cobwebs. By the 3rd night, she couldn't ignore it anymore. She got up after midnight, barefoot on cold wood, and followed the humming sound down the hallway. It led her to the end of the corridor, where the ceiling hatch to the attic sat flush and forgotten. It was open, not wide, just enough for the string to dangle. She stared at it, frozen, her breath shallow. She hadn't been up there since they moved in. They had no reason to. Everything they needed fit downstairs. And yet the attic was open. She fetched a chair and stood beneath the hatch, hesitating before pulling the cord. The ladder creaked down like bones grinding in sockets. The attic smelled of dust and old fabric. Her flashlight cut through the dark, casting long shadows. She wasn't sure what she expected. Insulation, maybe old boxes. But not this. In the center of the attic was a child's room. A small iron bed with faded pink sheets. A shelf lined with porcelain dolls, all missing their eyes. A wooden rocking horse with its mouth open like it was screaming. Crayon drawings were pinned to the wall, 4 figures in each one. Always 4. Sophia's stomach tightened. She backed away and turned, and nearly screamed. A mirror stood propped against the far wall, the same oval shape as the one in the kitchen, and in it, no reflection, just a dim hallway. One that looked like hers but off, wrong somehow. Then came the footsteps behind her. She turned quickly, nothing. But the mirror now showed a child standing at the attic ladder, pale skin, wide dark eyes, black hair dripping wet. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. She turned again, this time faster, heart hammering. The ladder was empty. When she looked back at the mirror, the girl was closer, and this time she smiled. Sophia bolted, nearly falling down the attic ladder, slamming the hatch shut behind her. She dragged a shelf beneath it, blocking it. But from above, she heard a single creak, and then the quiet sound of a child giggling. Sophia couldn't sleep. The attic remained sealed, but the house itself felt different. The air was heavier, colder. Toys would shift places. Doors that she knew she closed were ajar in the morning. And Lena, sweet Lena, had become distant. She didn't cry. She didn't laugh. She whispered to Clara. At dinner, everything shattered. Sophia set the table for 5. It was automatic, a habit. She even placed the small white plate in front of the 4th chair. The one at the end, closest to the mirror in the living room. When she realized, she stopped, hand frozen over the placemat. No one had ever sat there. That seat had always stayed empty, but not tonight. Lena carefully walked over and placed a spoon beside the plate. "It's for Clara," she said. "She's hungry." Sophia didn't respond. Theo and Julia exchanged confused glances but stayed quiet. The mood in the house had been too strange lately for jokes. Sophia took the extra plate away. Instantly, the overhead light flickered. Lena's face darkened. She looked up at her mother, expression hollow. "You made her angry," she said, voice thin. Sophia felt a cold breeze pass over her skin. The mirror in the living room cracked. Just once, a thin line from top to bottom, like a closed eye opening slightly. She tried to laugh, to brush it off, but then the chair moved, dragged back from the table, slowly, screeching wood across tile. Julia screamed. Sophia grabbed Lena, holding her close, but the child didn't resist. She whispered softly into her mother's ear. She doesn't want to be a secret anymore. That night, Sophia locked herself in her bedroom with the kids. But at 3:03 a.m., she woke to a sound downstairs, the clink of cutlery. She crept down the stairs, knife in hand. The dining table was set for 4, and someone was sitting at the end. Just a shadow still, like part of the darkness had taken form. Sophia flipped on the light. Nothing, except the plate, licked clean, and beside it a crayon drawing, 4 children, and a 5th, Sophia, in the center, trapped inside a mirror. Lena stood silently behind her, holding hands with someone invisible. "She says you can go now," she whispered. "She's the mom now." Sophia turned to her reflection, and the woman in the mirror smiled back. But it wasn't her. I fled that house, but Clara's smile lingers in every mirror. The whispers, the handprints, local tales from 1920 and 1970 accounts prove this wasn't just my mind. My family's unraveling. The Morrigan's curse turned it into a nightmare I can't escape. That 1995 move was our undoing. This isn't just my terror. It's a warning for anyone with unseen guests. If you felt a presence at your table, a reflection that isn't yours, you might share my dread. This true haunting from Morrigan Dread Horror is a standalone chill. Subscribe now and hit the bell to join our horror family for weekly scares. Drop a like if this gripped you and comment, "Who's at your door?" Your story might spark our next terror. Share this with friends who love the eerie and follow us for updates. Until then, check your mirrors and set only your plates. This is Morrigan Dread Horror, signing off.